Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Beacon Live sessions. This is the last episode of the year 2020, and I am Miss Lu.
And I'm Daniel Chuah. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us once again on a Tuesday night. It's been 10 amazing episodes, or 9 so far. Today
Yeah.
will be the 10th and final one for this year, but we'll be restarting again next year for season 2,
Yes.
where we will be inviting more musicians, both locally and from overseas, and as well as people from other industries as well.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a really, really blessed time, and we look forward to that. But, today is the last Tuesday of the year, so we thought, it'd be a good time for us, for both of us to reflect on our year and share both our testimonies as well as songs that have been really, really instrumental to us this year.
Yes.
And we have two special guests, musicians to be in our band. And we have Daniel Tan and Sean Johnson here. And, we've been playing music and hanging out with them
Yes.
for a few years now, and we're gonna share more later as we perform the songs. But before we do that, let's jump into the comments and see who's here already.
Yes, let's say hi to Daryl.
Hey,
Daryl's always
Daryl.
first in the live stream. So thank you so much for supporting us. No, you personally have seen us grow the whole of this year. So we'll get into more details later. Daryl says, "Can't believe time passes so fast since you guys started. It is already episode 10. Through the past 9 episodes, each guest shared their story and songs, which are amazing. Can't believe it." Wow, thank you so much, Daryl. And your time really means a lot to us, and we are so glad that you are inspired and feel your spirit being uplifted through these episodes. Oh, Imelda's watching. Hey, Imelda.
Hey, Imelda.
Hello. And also, Mr. Heng is here.
Hey, Mr. Heng.
Hi, Mr.
Nice to see you
Heng.
again.
Yes, and we really hope everyone has had a wonderful Christmas time. And as we reflect on the rest of this year tonight, hopefully you'll join us in your own personal journey as well. And we'll look forward to 2021. Hey, Yazid
And
is
Yazid
here.
is here. Hi,
Hello,
Yazid.
Yazid.
Nice to see you.
Awesome. I've known Yazid since my uni days, man. We used to play together for like a concert and things like that when I was in SMU. So hi Yazid, nice to see you.
Yeah,
And
virtually.
yes, virtually. We hope you're well. And we have Rico tuning in
Hey,
from
Rico.
Tokyo.
Mm,
Thank you for
Amazing.
joining
Thanks
us,
for being
Rico.
here almost every single week.
Yes.
We see you here with us. So thank you so much.
Yes. So to everybody who is watching this, if you are already here, you can help us by sending this and sharing this to your friends, and hopefully, people who are just winding down and being in a reflective mode for the rest of this year, can join us tonight, and hopefully they'll be blessed by this episode.
And we
Hey.
have Edgar from Costa Rica. Nice to see you, Edgar.
Hello.
And that's the amazing thing about doing a live stream
Yes.
is, we get to, interact with people from all over the world. And I think Edgar, if not for us starting live streams this year, we would not have connected with you virtually. So it's been a real blessing.
Yes, and we have Nicholas,
Hey,
Christine,
Nick.
and Nick. Hello,
Hey.
you guys.
Nick was a guest on one of our past episodes
Yes.
as well, playing bass and sharing as well. So it's been awesome. Thank you. Nice to see you guys here.
Yeah, and we have Shirley.
Yeah, my mom is here.
Hello.
Hey. So, shall we start off, because we have two very, very special guests
Yes.
that we want to feature this year. And one of them is actually Chris Chuah from Eden Resources, who has been so generously supporting not just this live stream, but many, many other live streams. Excuse me.
From other musicians
Yeah,
as well.
for other musicians.
Yeah.
And, this, we asked him and we thought it would be a nice way to end off the year by having him
Yes.
in front of the screen for a change. And
Exactly.
we also invited June, Chris's sister, who
Yes.
has just such an amazing and powerful testimony to share as well. So that will be coming up in the second half of this episode. But, over the past 9 episodes, we've been, more hosting and, performing the songs of our guests and, just shining the spotlight on them. But we thought, it's been a crazy year for us as well. And so we want to share also with you our testimony and songs that have been really meaningful for us this year. So,
Yes. And I
how...
think before we do that, I just want to highlight this before we start. Liz says, Papa says, hello, Papa Tan. And that is to
Aw.
Daniel. And actually, Daniel is our cell group leader as well
Yes.
as Liz. And they just moved houses. So really, thank you for taking the time out to be here.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. And thank you, Liz, for holding the fort at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Alright.
Yeah.
So
How
this
shall we
year,
start?
yeah. So for everyone, it's I think gonna be a very eventful year, and for us, it's no different.
Yeah. We can
But-
start chronologically, I guess.
Yeah, we can, and maybe I'll start off a bit. I
Yeah.
think January and Feb this year was actually great for us. We were really, really busy, and coming off, last year's November and December, which is, always been a busy period for musicians. So we went into Jan and Feb, with really fun gigs that we could do, full
Yes.
band and, nice D&Ds for corporate companies
This is dinner and dance.
yeah, dinner and dance. And so it was great. And then, we started to to get a bit of concern in around end of Feb, where
Yeah.
some of these events were starting to be, possibly postponed because
Yeah.
international guests couldn't come in.
That's right.
So that's when we knew something was up.
So the alarm bells started ringing.
Yeah, then I think in March was really just fighting fires, and with Shane as well, who handles all our emails and inquiries. It was a lot of firefighting with almost every wedding booking or
Yeah.
corporate booking. They're emailing in and asking what happens, what
Yeah.
are our standard procedures when these
Yes.
things happen. So
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of paperwork, and I guess for us, we got to see also how other people handled such situations, because we also had agents that booked us for gigs,
Yeah.
and when people started canceling on them, how were they handling?
Yeah.
So we got to see the true character of a lot of people and a lot of the events organizers that we worked with.
Yes.
What were they willing to do and how fair they wanted to be during this period. But so that was the start of the year, and then April.
And then April, when the circuit breaker phase one, that was phase one, right? It kicked in and we all had to, for just the circuit breaker. I don't know what you call it anymore. But for us, it was kind of like lockdown. And it really challenged us to, kind of look back introspectively and what do we do as musicians, as artists to continue the craft? What are we going to do with our gifts and resources in this time? Are we going to use it to, go on Facebook and moan and sulk? Or are we going to just try to use our gifts and our energies and put it to good use? So I think, we've all had a really positive attitude towards heading into the circuit breaker. And even Shane was involved. We really tried to put together what we had to make sure that the music still went on. So we started our own live stream series to keep the music going and to keep the connection going, because we know for sure. I forgot how long circuit breaker was. Was it 2 months? 2 months, yeah. So it wasn't gonna be a short time. 2 months is pretty crazy to be staying on your own at home and to be cooped up. And we just wanted to keep the music going and to keep that connection going, and that's what we did. And I'm really proud that we did that, because if not just to reach out to other people, it's also for us to prove to ourselves that this is our way of uplifting people and our way of giving value to the people around us. Yeah.
And we just spent all day and night trying to figure out this live streaming thing, cameras,
Yeah.
cables, all sorts of different streaming platforms. We tried them out. We were calling each other, from
Yeah.
MacPherson and Bukit Panjang and testing out latency. So but fast forward to today, I think we're probably closing in on 100 live streams. Probably between the both of us, and it also opened doors for us to to be able to produce other people's live streams, or even help out friends who texted us and asked, hey, what's your whole setup?
Yeah.
So we'll just reply
run down
and
all of
give
it.
them the full rundown.
Yeah.
And so coming in on 100 live streams, and when we look back at our first one, I really laugh.
It's a bit
sometimes.
cringy.
Yeah, you can cringe, but I feel that if I look back at, let's say, my old videos, and if I don't cringe, it probably means I didn't really improve. So, and the fact that we are cringing now means I hope we've elevated the quality of
Hopefully.
our live streams. And yeah, we just knew we wanted to put our best foot forward and not just live stream with the iPhone. So I think we spent almost every cent that came in through live
we
streams.
reinvested everything into
Reinvested,
the equipment to make
Yeah.
sure that everything was streaming out in good quality, just to the level that we would expect, like us from a viewer's point of view, that we would like to enjoy. Yeah.
So it's been a really, really eventful year, but I think we've gained so much. And for me personally, I think it's also shown that we can, we are humans that are just so able to adapt. I guess it's just whether we want to. And when we just went, we didn't stop too long to think about
No.
the pros and cons. We just
No,
went
just did
ahead
it,
and
yeah.
did it, and I'm always so thankful. And when I started one of my series, which is an interview series, I just decided to invite all my favorite saxophonists, and the chances of them saying yes is going to be pretty high because they can't say they're touring or they're busy because they're really not.
Yeah.
So in the end, I think I interviewed about 13 of my favorite saxophonists, and it's just so amazing that I even get to call some of them my friends now. And be able to work closely with them. For some of them, it's for their live streams and their master classes to be able to help them to set that all out, which is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
So that has been a real silver lining for me, which I don't think would have happened if not for what happened this year.
And I also just want to share that, when things started shutting down and gigs started getting cancelled, it really forced me to think about, why am I feeling worried? Am I feeling fearful? And if I am, why is that the case? Was it because, things have been going well for us ever since we started being full-time musicians? For me, that was immediately after university. Never had to worry. God always had, the blessings all lined up for me. And this year, I thought to myself, am I feeling worried because the money in the bank account is going to go down? The gigs aren't going to be, my calendar is completely empty. So then I have to look into myself and think, have I been putting my faith and my trust in the gigs that were sure to come, or have I been putting my trust and faith in God? So that was something new to me because I've only been a Christian for maybe 2 years, 2+ years, and this was really like the first big event I feel that has really challenged me in my faith journey. And I think this year has really given me the opportunity to remove all the distractions and let every superfluous thing be stripped away, and then me just having that conversation with God and with myself to see where is the source of my hope and my trust. And I think that is an amazing lesson, an amazing opportunity to have been born out of this year, in spite of all of the external bad things. Yeah, for me that's a silver lining, and I'm really glad that that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that leads in nicely to the first song that I would like to share for tonight, which is a old song by Michael W. Smith that I haven't played in at least 10 to 15 years, But,
Wow.
when I was reflecting on what songs to share tonight, I was like, I think this really sums it up. It's a song called Draw Me Close. And I've always loved it, and it's always been a good reminder, and especially during this circuit breaker period, and this year, I've been really, really fortunate to not have had that much time off, so it's just busy in other ways. I've been really, really blessed in that respect, and still, and I'm looking forward to next year, starting the year off with a bit more rest, and I'm just can't wait to have that time where I'm just like at a park, and just talking to God. And I had bits and pieces of that when things were a bit freer earlier part of the year, but I haven't had that in a very long time. Just I used to like to just have my headphones on and go for a long run. So I want to restart that back again. So I think that got me thinking about this song. And this is, yes, it's a reflection for this year, but I'm also very hopeful for next year, that even as things pick back up, and for freelancers, musicians like us, once the gigs start going back again, are we gonna go back to the same thing and forget 2020 ever happened? And I'm fearful that I will be like that.
Yeah.
So this song is for me more than anything, to really remind myself, to always draw close to God and just build that intimate relationship. For me, it's ironic. It's when things are going very well that sometimes I forget to do that, to build that relationship. And then no time is always the easiest excuse.
That's all of us,
So this is a song that hopefully as I go into next year, and then if and when things pick up in terms of busyness, I still want to make sure that I remember to draw close. So this is my rendition of Draw Me Close.
Amazing.
Right, that was a tune called Draw Me Close. And thank you so much to Daniel Tan and Sean Johnson for backing us up here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so lovely to start off with a tune and also to be playing music with our friends from church. You know,
Yes.
it's really, yeah, it makes me so happy.
It's a Grace Methodist band.
Yes.
So actually, Daniel Tan is our cell group leader,
Yes.
and Sean Johnson works full time in Grace Methodist
That's
Church,
right.
and he's in charge of worship, creative arts, communications, and most importantly, he was playing for our wedding.
Yes.
And at our church service, and also for
That's
my
right.
Through It All album launch. So we're really happy to have him back here.
Yes, and I want to delve into the comments right now. We have some people sharing really nice things. Thank you for joining us here. I want to say hi to Boon Chai.
Oh, hi, Boon Chai.
Boon Chai,
Nice to
a
see you
saxophonist,
here.
a friend. Hi,
And he's
hello.
logged in on
Wow.
both Facebook and YouTube.
Ultimate. So yes, for everybody who's watching on Facebook right now, if you'd like to watch in higher quality, you can actually hop over to the YouTube link, which is above in the caption right there. And yeah, join us. We can still see your comments either way.
Yep.
So we thank you for your time. Michelle is
Hey,
here.
Michelle.
And Michelle is also a previous guest on our Beacon Live sessions and a great keyboardist. Michelle says, "Hi Chris, looking forward to your sisters and your sharing." Yes, we also cannot wait for Chris and
Yes.
June's segment later on. Yes. And Imelda says, "We're all very proud of
Hey,
you
Imelda.
both."
Thank you so much.
Imelda. And I think, you know, as fellow musicians, we know this year has been especially difficult. But, you know, there's so many things that we can be grateful for. And, you know, I'm glad we will get to have some time to talk about all those different blessings tonight. Daryl says, "Wow, time passed so fast. I remember your first live stream was on a sofa."
Yes, wow, you have really good memory.
Yes.
In our living room.
It was in our
with our
living
makeshift
room.
setup.
Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah.
I still have some photos and videos from that point in time where all the cables were strewn all over, and it was really like a makeshift studio. We had to do it in our living room. But you know, looking back on those days, it really feels quite endearing, you know, that we can turn our home
Having
into
to lock our cats in the room.
we had to lock our cats in the room so they don't bother us and things like that. So every step of the way is something to be thankful for. David says, "Hi Daniel
hi,
and Miss Lou.
David.
Oh, love your latest Lazada jingles.
Oh,
Thank you so
cool.
much." So I hope it hasn't been bothering you too much. I know some people have
A lot
been
of
seeing
people
it
have
over
been
and
seeing
over.
it a lot. I think it's closing in on 1 million views on YouTube.
What?
Yeah, because I think they posted it on their YouTube channel, then they boosted it, so you can track
okay.
exactly how many views.
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
that's quite
That
crazy.
is a huge blessing, which I will talk about it like in the later part
Yeah.
of my sharing, because that is really, you know, just
One of the
provision, man.
blessings. Yeah.
It's divine provision.
Yeah.
Yes, God will always provide. Exactly. Amen. Amen. Priscilla says, "Beautiful. Thank you, Pris."
Hey, Pris.
Pris was on our first episode of Beacon Live Sessions.
Yep.
And, you know, we really got to reconnect this year because of, you know, because of COVID. Otherwise, we wouldn't have
Yeah.
had, you know, we wouldn't have gotten closer and wouldn't have
Yeah.
gotten to know Priscilla and her life story even deeper. Nicholas says, "Thank you for such a ministering
Thank
song."
you, Nicholas.
Thank you. And Uncle David is here.
Hey, Uncle David.
Hello.
Nice to see you here.
Beautiful song to start your program tonight. Yes, I
Thank
agree.
you. Thank
Yay.
you so much. And we have Wendy here as well. She says, "Beautiful worship, draw me close to you." Thank you, Wendy. And Wendy has
Thank
been a great
you.
supporter, both in person and financially as well.
Yes.
We really, really thank you for all the blessings you've given us throughout the
Thank you.
year. Really, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And Uncle David says, "So nice to see and have Daniel Tan and Sean Johnson." That's
Yeah.
right. So much love. We're really feeling the love tonight.
Hey,
guys.
Irene,
Hi, Irene.
all the way
Thank
from
you.
Australia.
Yes, hi. Hope you and Sir are doing fine. We hope to catch up soon.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you for
Thank
saying
you so
that.
much, Wendy.
Yes, and I want to talk about, you know, after we started doing that, the live stream series from our own home, I remember because my episodes were on Friday nights, and it was nearing to Good Friday and Easter weekend, and I thought to myself, it really feels not right to continue doing my live stream series on a Friday and not acknowledge the big occasion and the significance of that day. So I thought, okay, and prior to that, I actually had never sung any Christian songs live or in
Public.
in public or over live stream ever before, much less do an entire set of Christian and worship songs. So I felt a little bit like challenged by it. It felt like God was He put that opportunity there, and it was my time to think, what am I gonna do with this platform and this opportunity. So I think we decided, yeah, let's do a full night of Christian songs so that we can tell people about the significance of Good Friday and what Jesus had done for us on the cross. So, that Good Friday, we actually thought that the pool of people watching would be smaller because, we thought that, Singaporeans, this is the pie of people, and then Christians are a subset, right? So naturally the viewership would go down, and we were okay with that. But you want to relate the rest of the story?
So I was a bit skeptical into who would watch one, and that was only your second live stream. So you did one.
I don't think it was the.
I think it was a third.
It wasn't,
it was a third. Okay, but I knew it was so early on, and I was thinking like maybe we should do this like a themed show a bit later, because if let's say we had 100 people watching, maybe only 20 will come back if it's purely Christian music. But in the end, I think it was like 400 people.
Yeah.
So we, it just like quadrupled in the number of viewers, and it was just amazing. And I remember that was like on YouTube, which was even, we knew people were there watching and staying on throughout, which was really, really quite amazing. So I think that really proved to us also that, God is with us, especially when we are trying something new. And I guess also not just judging by
Numbers
viewers
alone,
and numbers, which people get sometimes very preoccupied. And that's something that we reminded ourselves even with the start of Beacon Live sessions. If even one person feels touched or inspired by it, and we've had definitely more than one person reach out to us and let us know, and that's enough. It doesn't have to be tens of thousands of people watching for it to feel like it's good enough. So
I think the reminder to myself was always, that it's not for like vanity's sake or what. It's for me to be an instrument for God, which is exactly what Chris prayed for us before this, that how can we be vessels to show God's love and his faithfulness to the people who might not have gotten the chance to know him. And I think that really proved to me, it felt like God saying to us that, that he was here for us, and that, that music can be shared in a way that can uplift so many people. And especially because that was in the middle of the circuit breaker period, right? So it was the first Easter, the first Good Friday, that a lot of people couldn't go back to church, and it was unsettling for a lot of us. So I thought in that time that really came at the perfect moment.
And I think speaking about Christian music, we've been musicians for so many years, but I myself also, never really put out many Christian covers, and for you also definitely not before this year, right? And in the end, this period led you to doing few more covers, at least 3 YouTube covers of Christian songs. And for myself, I decided, okay, no time to waste. I'm gonna record a Christian album. So I did a full album of Hillsongs, instrumentals, which I released this year as well. And Sean was playing for me that episode, and it's just been a blessing. I've had people using my music on their Insta stories, and just people that I've never met before. And I've had people telling me that just the music has made them feel that calm and reassurance, and that's a blessing in itself. And it was through that stream that I met Chris actually for the first time. So that's been amazing journey for us. And we've even written our first Christian original song together with Levin, who is our previous guest. So it's just been
I think sometimes when we look back, as people say hindsight is 2020, especially in 2020. But that it's really true. I always see God's goodness as him as the master weaver. I look at just what he's done in my life, and I'm blown away. And then I look at the what he's done in the lives of people around me, and it just blows my mind how he puts everything together, the right place, the right time, in that moment when you need it. And it's just so beautiful. And I want to share that that realization with people who might not have gotten to see that part of life yet, and that's why from going from not having sung a single Christian song live before to episode 10 of Beacon Live sessions at the end of the year, I think it's really God's blessing. It's amazing, and I can't be more glad. I feel so fulfilled that 2020 has found a way for me to use my musicality, my gifts, and our resources to be able to help people draw closer to God. Yeah.
Yeah, and even to be able to be part of the journey of someone like Levin, who, if you can look at our episode 2 of our Beacon Live session on this YouTube channel, and you can listen to Levin's testimony. I think it's on Salt and Light and maybe several other publications as well. It's just crazy to think that we're writing a song with Levin. He's in our cell group. He got baptized in Grace Methodist. Yeah, it's just such a blessing, to be part of it. I mean, we didn't have, it's not because of us, but it's definitely God's timing, and I know he's always planned it this way. But I think Levin has been a great spark in our cell group as well. And sometimes asking questions that we also
nobody has thought of
don't
before.
really, so it's been wonderful having Levin, and even with his mom and the people around him, discovering or rediscovering God's presence. It's just been amazing. And Levin has even been volunteering and helping out in church as well, which we would not have seen it happen, but it's been amazing.
Yeah, at this point I want to give a big shout out to Ellie.
Hey Ellie.
Hey Ellie. She says, love these faces and the sharing of these blessings. Thank you, Ellie. We are so glad you're tuning in. It must be early. So thank you for joining us.
Very early.
Very early, my goodness. Ellie is from our cell group as well, but on the other side of the globe. And, I marvel at how, these relationships that we've built in Singapore have stood the test of geography, of distance, and time, exactly, time zone. So we are very thankful for you, Ellie. And I think, talking about using our music to that we have used music this year and publicly shared Christian music and our stories. This next song that I'm gonna do is, kind of going back to my roots and exactly about using songs that I've sung all my life, but haven't exactly attributed to God before. And this next song is called 月亮代表我的心. For many people who are Chinese speaking, you would definitely know this song. But for our friends who don't know Chinese, it means the moon represents my heart. And the lyrics might not exactly talk about God's feelings for us as his children, but if a poetic man who is talking about the love of his life can look at the moon and say, the moon represents my love and my appreciation for you, what more God? God can say, I made the moon and this is how much I love you. And I hope that you will relate to this song and think about it from the point of view of God speaking to his children. So here we go. 月亮代表我的心. 深深的端情，叫我思念到如今。你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分。你去想一想，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。哦，你去想一想，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。月亮代表我的心. The moon represents my heart. And you know, God's love for us is really just self-evident. You know, it says 你去想一想，你去看一看. You just have to think a little bit deeper about it. Open your eyes and see. And you know, the moon is there to show you that I love you. And I think that's so true for a lot of us, that we've enjoyed so many blessings in our life that we've taken for granted almost. And I think 2020 was a big jog, a big reminder that, you know, a lot of the freedoms and the things that we've taken for granted were actually, you know, not things that were a given. They are things that were, you know, of God's grace that were given to us because He loves us. And I really hope that, you know, if you haven't had the chance to experience God's love for you, you just need to open your eyes and really think a little bit deeper, reflect a little bit, and, you know, you might see that all these things were given to us. So yes, 月亮代表我的心.
Yeah, let's see who is here in the comments.
Oh, Daryl says it's the full moon tonight. Is
Oh,
it
wow.
true? Wow, perfect.
Didn't know that.
I did not know this as well. I did not plan this. Did not plan on a full moon. Wow,
That's
beautiful.
amazing.
And what better testimony, right? It really reflects God's love for us, the full moon. And Mr. Hing says, waiting for so long to hear this song again. Yeah, we probably I haven't done this song the whole of this year, probably, except the beginning
Maybe
of the
some
year
live stream
when we did like
here
the
and there.
Chinese New Year live shows and things like that. But that feels like an entire world ago, a different world.
We have Shirley Smith from the US. Thank you so
Hey.
much for being here.
Hello.
And we have Lucienne as well from Brazil.
Hi,
Thank you for always
Lucian.
being here at our shows, even though you are
Yes.
thousands of miles away. Rico, thank you so much for your kind words. And my dad is here as well.
Yes.
And we have Paul. Paul, is he your old friend? Wow,
Nice.
it's very tasteful playing and singing. God bless. Shout out to Daniel Tan, his old friend. Wow.
Yay.
And
Reunited.
Michelle, thank you for your virtual applause. And Uncle David says one of your favorite Teresa Ting songs.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah,
and
that's a
such
classic. Yeah.
Yeah, and for those who might not know, I actually grew up speaking Mandarin. So a lot of these songs are like I've heard all throughout my childhood, but never really thought twice about the lyrics, or definitely not attributed it the way that, you know, I can interpret them now that I've been saved, you know, that I know God's love. And it's such a blessing to be able to reinterpret these songs in this manner. And I hope you feel that as well. We have a few more songs that we've prepared for you, and
so the next song I'm gonna do is a song that, you know, I only got reminded of probably last week at Christmas, you know,
Yes.
but in the lyrics of this song, and it's called We Are the Reason, you know, it just, you know, reminds us that to me at least, you know, like God had this plan all along, and He sent His Son to die on the cross for us. And you know, Christmas, which just passed, you know, it's not just about the presents and or Santa Claus or all these type of things, but it's really to give us that hope, you know. And it's such a simple but powerful message of hope that, you know, he gave his son to die on the cross for us. And I'm just always thinking back of this year, and just the amazing testimony of Levin that we've gotten to know over the past few years, as a friend, as a fellow musician, and someone who is just amazing at social media and at what he does. And just would not have imagined that 2020 will end off with him being in our cell group and baptized in our church. And
Yeah.
I was also thinking of doing another song called "So You Would Come," and
Yeah. Oh,
you
I
know,
love that. I wanted to do that actually.
oh,
But you can have it.
yeah. But this song is also, "We Are the Reason," also reminds me of that God had His plan all along for
Yes.
not just Levin but for all of us. And it's really, He had it all laid out, and it's just so wonderful, and it just blows my mind to think of
Yeah.
sometimes. And yeah, it's a song that I grew up singing probably in kindergarten or Sunday school or something like that. Never ever played it instrumental before.
Right.
So I'm gonna share this song called "We Are the Reason." I hope you guys will enjoy it. Right, that was a song called "We Are the Reason."
So good.
Thank you so much. And
Wow.
wow, we have a lot of new friends here.
Yes, a lot of
Oh, we
new
have
friends
Sam Pritchard from
from
New
New York
York. Wow,
City.
thank you so
Wow.
much for being here. And Daniel Bennett as well.
Hello, thanks for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you so much. And Ellie says,
Taking us
taking us
back.
back. Yes, it's probably at least 20, 30 years old, this song, or more. Yeah. And
We have Ping. Is that how I should pronounce your name? Let me know. Please correct me
yeah,
if I'm wrong.
from
Thank you from Ohio.
Ohio.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
It's
Wow.
amazing. We have Margaret. Hi,
Margaret. Hi,
Margaret.
Margaret. Thank
Thank
you so
you. Thank
much.
you. Liz says, so lovely, one of the most meaningful Christmas
Mm,
songs. I have
yeah.
to agree. I first heard it last week actually, and I looked at the lyrics. I think I got goosebumps listening to it
Mm,
because the arrangement, the meaningful lyrics, and the wonderful delivery of it, the original version anyway, it was just so
yeah.
anointed, I guess.
Yeah.
Really good. Michelle says, thank you for reminding me of this song. We are the reason that he gave his son. We are the reason that he suffered and died. Need to Google the rest of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yes,
So if that was your
yes.
first time hearing this song, is
Yes.
check it out. I think the original band or group is called Avalon. You know, when I was doing my research
Mm,
and
mm,
reminding myself of the lyrics also
mm.
earlier today. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can check it out on YouTube or Spotify.
yeah.
Mr. Heng, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. When he says God's greatest gift, John 3:16. That's right.
Yes. Lucien, thank you so much. And Harry, nice to see you all the way from Atlanta. I have a
Yes.
feeling maybe Ellie has shared
Oh, that makes
the.
sense.
It seems to
That
be
makes
a
sense.
sudden influx of friends from America, but that's amazing. Ellie, if it's
Yes.
all you, thank you so much for
Thank
allowing
you.
us to, share this music and stories to the other part of the
That's
world
right.
as well.
Uncle David says would have been great if Payson sang along to the song "We Are the Reason." Yes, I will go
Yeah.
and learn it, and I will
Yeah.
definitely
And do a
find.
cover
Yeah, we
or
should. It's so
subsequent
good.
episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really love it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lucienne, for your
Thank you
love
so
and
much.
support. And I think it's so true. We are the reason. And it doesn't say I am the reason because, the whole body of Christ, we together are the reason God gave his son, for us. And I think this year has been a tremendous reminder of that and why that community aspect is so important in life and in a especially in a year like 2020 when we need to depend on one another to just get through, to survive, to when times are tough financially or emotionally, spiritually. I think I'm so grateful for things like our cell group and things like that, and even church support. I think all that is so necessary, especially in a year like this, for people who might have taken that for granted in previous years. I'm sure a lot of us were reminded, especially in this year, that is the design for that God had in his mind when for him to show his love for us is also through the people, the other members in the body of Christ. And I think that's so beautiful. Yeah.
And I think the next two songs that we're gonna do, it's also a reminder that God has always been here, in good times and bad times, and even as a lot of us who are freelancers, or even if you're not, if you had a stable job
Yeah.
and COVID happened and that security was taken away.
Mm.
But I think for us at least, we can share in our personal lives that God has always provided. Of course, we've had those thoughts. Also like, should we sell the car? Should we give up our studio space? What should we do? When all the foreseeable income generation sources,
Yeah.
not all, but a huge chunk was not going to be available. But I
Yeah.
think God has shown time and time again over this year that
Yeah.
he was still blessing us, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
I think early on from people who wanted to support us financially, either through the live streams or just direct. It's
Love
been
gifts from church
love
members
gifts.
also.
It's been so amazing, and leading up all the way. Even for me, I've been so blessed with being able to teach a lot more saxophone than ever at any point in my life, and I have
Yeah.
just an amazing batch of students now that,
Yeah.
it's a very good problem. And with live streams as well, we
Yeah.
started getting commissioned to do live streams and recorded videos,
Mm.
and yeah, leading to what we're talking about, the Lazada ad,
Yeah.
with almost 10 million, with almost a million views, just in a week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so
So a
crazy that
steady stream of blessings from God. I think
yeah,
from the beginning when we were doing live streams, just just to keep the music going, we weren't paid or anything. It was really just our way of keeping our own spirits up as well, and in the meantime, hoping to cheer other people up in the middle of the lockdown, and that has kind of paid off in its own way where we couldn't see it at that point, but people started seeing these live streams and probably they thought, okay, these guys already have their setup, they know how it's done, so maybe we can commission them to do some performances. And that's exactly what happened with a few different companies. And we also from there got to do more commissioned studio work, like
yeah,
rearranging music. And really in a way that's like my prayer last year being answered, because towards the end of last year I started feeling a little bit unfulfilled, or very unfulfilled, because I was spending a lot of my time doing singing at events and weddings. And while I enjoyed those things, what I really loved was creating music, writing music, and applying my creativity in the studio, be it like producing and arranging and things like that. And I didn't get to it was a good thing, because all that kind of built up the reserves that we needed to tide over this year. So everything had its place and purpose, but I got to a point where I felt so emotionally burnt out and unfulfilled, where I think I shared it on Instagram, where I felt like I had ignored all these things until God kind of cornered me. I was in our car and thinking to myself, okay, it's time. Like I heard God saying it's time, that it's time for me to use my gifts in other ways and not just in the money generating way. And so towards the end of last year, we already started looking for a studio space. We started recording more covers, trying to do more creative things beyond just turning up at an event and doing covers. So that kind of set the stage for this year unknowingly, and that's a huge blessing from God. Things we couldn't see, we didn't know what 2020 had in store for us, and I'm just so thankful when things happened. We already had our studio space in the beginning of this year in January, and that's how we continued putting out like covers in our own way. And yeah, then when COVID-19 happened, I also got the chance to work on my first ever collaboration ever. And that was with Crystal, the drummer, who, was one of our guests on this show. And that collaboration was for Easter weekend as well, for the song In Christ Alone. And who would have thought that my first ever virtual collaborative cover would be a Christian song? I definitely didn't think that would be the case. And yeah, just so many blessings this year. And then, like you said, the Lazada thing happened, and we got to kind of, tweak and adapt our whole business model, if you will, towards more studio work. And we're really happy. Even this space, I think we need to tell the story of this space. Yeah, you want to start off?
yeah. So we were renting another beautiful studio space, and I think we started just thinking about the possibility of, especially when we knew the lease was up for
Ending, yeah.
renewal, was ending at the end of this year. So we had to think about it. So we thought, we were thinking maybe should we move to a smaller space or
Mm.
different space that financially could be more feasible for
Mm.
us. And then I think just on the next day
The next
after
day,
we
yeah.
knew that we were gonna think and look for other options, I reached back into my shop here, where we are at, and my partner was like, oh, by the way, we rented another unit upstairs, so we have this free space down below. Do you want to do anything with it? And I was like, it's just so crazy. Like, and it wasn't like him asking for my opinion. He was like, by the way, I already rented the space upstairs,
Yeah.
so this place is available. Do you
Yeah.
know what you can do with it? I was like, that's so weird. Like actually moving our whole studio here would be great, because I get to teach, I get to, serve my customers for my
Mm.
saxophone shop here, and produce music and do our live streams all in one space. And that really gave us the ability to not just work from home, but at least have a separate space where,
Mm.
we could almost see it like it was a day job. We come here, and once we leave here,
Yeah.
we don't have to bring our work back.
Mm.
So that's been a real blessing in
His
it.
timing
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And as Sean would know, since we did the previous live stream in our home studio, it was getting a bit too squeezy and crowded for what we wanted to do more of, like more music and have more friends. Now that we are in phase 3, yay, that we can have more people over and to do live streams. That room was we definitely outgrew that home studio. And after working from home for a few months, I think a lot of people can relate that the sometimes the line between work and leisure gets blurred, and that's not necessarily good for mental health. And definitely because we are married, and every time we are in that space, it's just work, right? So to be able to demarcate that, I think was a huge blessing for us as well. So and this space, I need to talk about the lights, but we can't see the lights today, but it's okay. I can. Oh, Shane, do you want to do it? So there was one day I remember very distinctly that we were walking home from the studio. So okay, one of them has blown, but this one over here, yeah, you can see how the bulb looks like. And I was just feeling really thankful for all of the people that we get to interact with on a daily basis in this space. And we were walking home, and I was telling him that then the next morning for the verse of the day, I don't know how many of you use the U Version Bible app, but they always have this verse of the day, almost like story thing, right? Then they will always choose one graphic from their many many different graphics to for you to share and for you to kind of save as a reminder for the verse of that day. And that particular day, it was talking about how what do you remember it? It says if you have the company of the wise, you will be wise, and and vice versa. And it felt like, oh, and the graphic had these exact same bulbs in this exact same with the exact same like wires and everything. I looked at it, I was like shocked, I almost dropped my phone, because it felt like just yesterday night we were talking about the company. I was just so thankful. I was like thanking God for it that night in my prayer. And then the next morning, it's as if God was saying, it's like validation that this space and these people are my demonstrations of love for you. Use this space and use it well. And I think for us to have been able to start Beacon Live sessions in this exact space as well, and to let us cross paths with Chris, is also just in God's plan. And it overwhelms me. It like blows my mind every single time I recount that. But I will be sure to post that graphic of the verse of the day image and our light side by side in the comments after this live stream ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just thinking about how starting off we were working with Lazada based on live streams. We were doing
Yes.
some internal live streams.
Yeah.
Then it became commissioned videos, and then before we know it, we're ending the year doing a full-blown ad campaign for
Yeah.
them, including
It
the video
snowballed.
production, and
Yeah.
we rearranged the music, we recorded it right here.
Yeah.
It's just been amazing, and just blessings in a totally different way. We would not have imagined that
Yeah.
our year end will be filled with
Yeah.
busying ourselves with such things, but it's just been amazing blessing.
Oh, I also want to give a shout out to Kelvin Kong from GMC. That's the whole reason how it started
Yeah.
in the first place. And again, God's provision, just to
Yeah.
have the people around us to be able to give us these amazing opportunities and to place their faith and trust in us is mind blowing. So
And just like
yeah.
last week, you just did another
The live
Lazada
show.
project,
Okay, yeah.
where the singer fell sick on that
Oh,
day,
yes.
and instantly you got a call. It was our off day.
It
but
was
we
our day
rushed
off. We were
down
like, okay,
and-
we need a day. We need a day off. And then we got a call saying that the singer was sick and
Yeah.
asking if I had time to rush down to record. And again, there was another demonstration
Blessing,
of God's
yeah.
provision for us. Yeah.
And it was just 2 weeks before that where we had our other day off that the Lazada email came in.
Yes.
So Lazada, you've been spoiling our off days a lot, but we're very blessed. Every off day,
Yeah,
and before
yeah.
we know it, like sometimes we tell Shane we're not coming in today, it's an off day.
And then
And
bam,
by 2
big
p.m. he
news.
gets the email with all the things that we need to do,
Yes.
invoice and code
Yeah.
and everything. But
That's
it's been a great blessing. So we have to wait till next year to take our day off. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just wonderful blessings, and I think this next 2 songs really sum it up a lot. And this next song is actually a secular song.
Yeah. And this song is by The Pretenders. It's called I'll Stand By You. And I've always liked this song, we would do it at, our residencies and things like that. But I started to think a bit deeper about like the lyrics, and it feels like if you want to interpret it from God's perspective, you can. And I think if you pay close attention to the lyrics, you go and Google them right now and you look them up while I'm singing this to you. And I think I hope you'll feel, God's love for us, and the whole purpose of sending Jesus down also is to walk alongside us and to let us know that, God knows what the human experience, the human condition is like. He's not just some far off guy in the sky, and someone who is removed from this entire situation. He's there. He cries when we cry. His heart bleeds when ours breaks. So this is it. This is called I'll Stand By You, and I hope you will enjoy it. Oh, why you look so sad? Tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now, and don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through, 'cause I've seen the dark side too. When the night falls on you and you don't know what to do, nothing you confess could make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. And hey, what you got to hide? I get angry too, while I'm alone like you. When you're standing at the crossroads, don't know which path to choose, let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Baby, even in your darkest hour, I'll stand by you by the Pretenders. And I just can't help but feel like, if it's a human being telling another human being, I'll stand by you. But we all know how, human relationships are. We're all flawed. Sometimes we make promises that we can't keep, and we cannot foresee things that will happen. But when God tells you he's there for you, he's there for you, man. Like, it's real. Yeah. And I think I want to point out some of the lyrics and say, like, don't be ashamed to cry, let me see you through, because I've seen the dark side too. And that's so true. Like, Jesus came down and lived the entire experience and was even crucified by the very people that he came down to save. How much darker can that get? And of course, if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come and talk to me now. That's like a personal invitation from God. Say, just come to me. I want to hear from you. What do you have to hide? I know everything about you. I knew you, the very numbers on your head before you were even created, So I think no human being can top that lah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever, seen this song in this light before, but it's just so powerful. And there's so many, secular songs in that sense that, if we look and dive deeper into the lyrics, we realize that, hey, it could be very well, God talking to us.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing.
That's true.
And before we invite our two very, very special guests to come on for the second segment of tonight's show, we want to end off with one final song.
Yes.
And this one is very, very important to the both of us because we actually sung it at our church wedding.
That's right.
And we even found a Chinese version, which I don't think many people have heard before. And we're going to do, one verse of instrumental and the second verse will be in Mandarin. And this is a song by Hillsongs called Through It All, which is so apt and it's been with me since I was probably in secondary school. And, we are even going to record this in our upcoming Christian album.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to share with you this Mandarin and instrumental version of Through It All to close off this segment. And we hope that you enjoy the song.
你永远在我的生命，你眷顾我的一生，用你双手扶庇我，引领我进入你同在，我眼仰望你，我心等候你， And that was through it all. And I think that really, really sums up this year. No matter the season, no matter what changes, God is with us through it all. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are so thankful for Daniel Tan and Sean Johnson. Thank you for
Yay!
being with us for this very, very special
Yes,
episode of
that's right.
Beacon Live. And we're gonna let you guys take your leave. And at the same time, we're gonna invite our first very, very special guest. And he has been behind many, many live streams and so generously supported the music industry throughout this period. And we're gonna invite Chris Chuah in
Yes,
front of the
welcome,
screen.
Chris. Okay, I'll make space for you.
Okay.
All right, good to see you. Good to see you, Payson and
So
Daniel.
good to see you, Chris.
Very nice of you
Thank
to
you for being
have me on the
here.
show.
We thought no better way, to end off 2020 with, just being able to let people hear from you personally, how has this year been and what led you to being, involved in all these various live streams.
Well, I think the song that you just sang sums it all up for me as well. I mean, the entire experience. I mean, this year indeed has been an extremely disruptive year. I don't think any of us have been prepared for something that is totally unprecedented.
Yeah.
So I suppose, when you asked me the question, what started me off when the COVID-19 situation started, I also had many friends in the music industry who are serving artists in various capacities. And I mean, basically after interacting with them, a lot of them were really reaching a point where they were desperate because the things like live gigs, performances, and so forth just completely dried up. So apart from the loss of revenue, the other issue I discovered was that a lot of them were struggling with depression.
Yes.
And, with the closure of a lot of these avenues, things like depression, loss of confidence, and so on sort of set in. And a couple of us then got together and started to discuss how we could try and help in whatever capacity we could. I don't want to name names, but I have friends, who also then started helping in various ways by commissioning small projects.
Yes.
And it's not just limited to people in the music industry, but even artists and poems, and
Wonderful.
paintings and so forth. And that sort of got them started. And then for myself, because I've always been involved in music all my life practically, it was, I suppose, the natural thing to do.
It's wonderful, your heart for the musicians, especially because I know a lot of our friends might feel like, with the regulations and things like that, a lot of them feel like they've fallen through the cracks. So, it's so amazing that there are people like you and your friends who are willing to step up and to, kind of take care of the musicians and the artists in society.
Yeah, I think in whatever little way we can help, we will. But obviously, this is something that I think calls for a multi-helping hands kind of approach.
Yeah.
I mean, the government and NAC and so forth are certainly doing their bit to help, but I think private organizations and potential sponsors could also chip in and help to sort of carry this for a while.
So we're so thankful, and especially for Beacon Live. And I think it's really allowing us to have this platform to do something slightly different, still music related, but
Yes.
highlighting these musicians who have been our friends and in our scene for so many years.
Yeah.
But even us, we don't know their story, and their journey with Christianity. And it's just been a very, very blessed time. And and thank you for always giving us that that free reign to not be like, nitpicking on every single, aspect of the live stream, but, trusting us to put our best foot forward. And, and it's really like planting these seeds. We've seen
yes.
you plant so many, and I think it's just given musicians a boost of confidence also that, hey, I think, my, what I do is still valued, and I can use these platforms as a creative outlet. I think that's just so wonderful. And you've always been, supporting, even in your church, in the music industry, and you are keyboardist yourself.
Yes,
Yes.
So I guess that's where everything is connected. And I know next year is still going to be a very, very challenging year. But even with Beacon Live, we're so excited to still have your support and partnership, as we still want to feature musicians based here, but also based internationally, and you have so many contacts, and even for people who are not in the music industry, in entertainment, in the world of business, there's just so much to share. So we're
Yeah.
looking forward to season 2
Yes,
of
yes,
that
certainly,
as well.
certainly. And some of them are actually, I think, viewing this right now. So
Awesome.
just letting
Hi.
them know we'll be reaching out
Yeah.
to you shortly.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
as Daniel, what you have said is so true. We often see artists and musicians perform. We hear the songs, but we don't know the stories behind the songs. And one of the great things about this series, Beacon Life, is that it brings the songs, the people, the stories all together. And, we really see the human side of artists. And this is something that really resonates, and it also touches me deeply. I mean, earlier you alluded to some of the testimonies that were shared by some of the earlier artists like Levan and so forth, Vivian Wong,
Yes.
Priscilla, Imelda, and all these people. And
Yeah.
they're so encouraging and so inspiring.
Yes.
And we've had people, messaging Vivian, messaging us, and just saying that how it's, they are also, probably going through quite similar situations,
Yeah.
and how it's brought them a lot of comfort, with, a lot of our guests are so openly sharing their struggles,
Absolutely. And the way they shared, so authentic, so candid. And I think in sharing, they also gain the strength and the confidence.
Yeah. Exactly.
And really, I've been really blessed, really, really blessed
Same for
We're
us
so
also,
glad, yeah.
by the sharing
Yeah.
the testimonies and the songs.
Because
Really.
I think as musicians, a lot of times we practice so that we can give the most perfect rendition. So we're up here to give a great performance, but I think it's just so amazing. And even for us, we're not, when we share, we don't just only want to talk about the good things, but we are so
Yeah.
blessed over 10 episodes, about 20 different guests.
Yeah.
All of them haven't been shy to say that, even though I
struggled,
have,
yeah.
Jesus in my life, it's not always
Yes.
smooth sailing.
Absolutely.
And, and I'm sure, Chris, for you, it probably is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. There are the ups and the downs, but we know that through it all,
Yeah.
as you sang earlier, He's
Yeah.
there with us.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, He's the anchor of our faith,
Yeah.
the author and perfecter of our faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by hook or by crook, you guys and all of us would have made it through 2020, whether you liked
Amen.
it or
Yeah,
not.
that's
Just a few more days, and we
Yep.
crossed that mental hurdle of anything. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
wipe that number off, and we get a chance to start fresh again. But hopefully, for me, it's also a personal reminder. Hopefully, I don't go back to so-called my old ways. When
Yes.
things get busy again, and that we lose sight, and then almost forget all the lessons that we have
Yeah.
learned so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
And Chris, how about your journey? How has it been for you? And would you mind sharing any of the lessons you've learned, any ups and downs that you've had over the years?
Wow. Okay. I mean, my own life story is a very interesting one, and I think my sister,
Yes,
afterwards, who's
it's
coming on,
linked,
is an
yeah.
integral part of it, because for many years I stopped attending church. Until my sister brought me to church
Right.
about 15 years ago. And the irony of it all was that initially, when I started going back to church and attending service, the one thing that put me off actually was the praise and worship, because
Right.
I attend a charismatic church, and the praise and worship was very charismatic and all that, but it just didn't cut with me, because I came from a very sort of conservative background, used to
Yeah.
hymns and all
Yeah.
that in my earlier years.
Yeah.
So many a time I would try and sort of time my
Arrival.
arrival such that I missed the praise and worship section. But I always say that God has a sense of humor,
Yeah.
because when I started attending, one fine day, the praise and worship leader
Yeah.
back then asked me, well, I hear you can play some piano.
Yeah.
Would you like to serve? And I did. And that sort of got me involved in this
Yeah.
and so on. So it's
really,
an irony.
and now you're supporting.
I know, yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Exactly,
music. Yeah,
exactly. The
it's-
very
it's-
thing that, put me off initially.
Exactly.
And then God used that to bring me back.
Yeah, that's
Beautiful.
just an amazing story. And I
Yeah.
think maybe now might be a good time to invite
Yes.
our second special guest, and she has an amazing testimony as well.
Indeed,
And
indeed,
and
indeed.
we have Chuah, who is Chris's sister,
Yeah.
and we're gonna invite her
Yes,
up here.
okay.
Yes. Hello, June. Thank you so much for coming here on the show. And it's a wonderful blessing that we have siblings here on the show to be able to share their story as well. Yeah.
Oh, thank you
Oh,
so much for having me. I mean, it's a
yeah.
real privilege and I really count an honor. So thank you so much for having me here and my brother as well.
No
really
problem
is.
at all. Yeah. And I know that you're a missionary together with your husband, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So would you like to tell us a little bit more about that and how that even happened in the first place?
Okay, well, it was definitely a surprise for me. I went to university in England, did economics, and became a Christian like just before I went to England to study. And God was going to change the whole course of my destiny.
Wow.
So in the second year of my university, I went on a mission trip, and long and short, God just spoke to me and said that I was going to be a missionary.
Wow.
So that was a little bit to my parents' horror, but then I did meet my husband to be. I got
Wonderful.
married 2 years later, and then God spoke, and God had given my husband a very clear vision of a place that was in South America, which we
Yeah.
didn't know then where it was. But 10 years later,
Yeah.
we found ourselves moving to Uruguay.
Wow.
Okay, next to Argentina and Brazil. And I didn't know anything about Uruguay. But it would be the next 10 years of our lives, which when I look back, I really counted a real privilege. And God led us to work with just people from the streets, the poorest of the poor, in an inner city area of transvestites, drug addicts, prostitutes, HIV patients. The first 3 years, we just saw loads of the people die. The lifespan was really short, but a lot of them really encountered Jesus, and then they died and they went to an eternity with him. So after
praise
10
God.
years, then we moved to Spain. God spoke and said, okay, you will now go to Spain. And we transitioned to Valencia. And there we were for 7 years.
Wonderful.
Yes,
7 years.
that's right. 7 years, after which there were 4 years of sabbatical. And this year, 2020, we actually moved, my husband and myself,
Yeah.
to Montenegro,
Wow.
to Budva. Yep. And we arrived in March at the start of a lockdown. And we have been there since until October. We're back now in Singapore for a short break before we go back.
Wow. So how long will you be in Singapore before you go back?
Until the end of February, probably. Yes.
Wonderful. And we're so thankful that the timing was just right, that we can catch you on the show right now tonight to be able to hear you share your story as well. And I think for people who might find June familiar, or maybe find parts of her story familiar, maybe you might have read an article or two on Salt and Light about her family and about her own testimony. And it really focuses on those 7 years, right? Would you like to share a little bit more with the people who might not have heard about your story yet?
Yes. Okay, so we moved from Uruguay to Spain when my kids were in their teenage years. Okay, like the ages of 14 and 16, which in the natural, if you're a parent, it's not the best time to be moving, uprooting your kids. And little did we know that transition would be one of the hardest of our lives. So long and short, for the next 7 years, the minute we arrived in Spain, it had started slightly before, but both our children, our oldest son and our daughter, started to spiral downhill. And briefly, our son fell into Great Depression. There were many suicidal attempts. There was an overdose where he tried to kill himself. And this was only like 6 months after we arrived in Spain. My husband and my daughter were at that time out of the country. So long and short, I woke up one morning and I found just lots of empty boxes of medication and a whole bottle of booze that was empty. And I looked at him and he was fast, like asleep. And I thought, oh my, did he just try and kill himself? It sounds funny now, but at that time, I really didn't know what to do. We called our pastor in England, who's a medical doctor,
Yes.
and I said, what do we do? He said, you got to take him to the hospital. And there I was in a country which I didn't know any hospital. I had to look up our medical insurance, try and find where the hospital was. And thank God there was another Finnish missionary living with us. So both of us like tried to lift him up. We brought him down, drove him. They pumped everything out of him. He was fine. But that would also be the start of lots of, alcoholism, violence that came with it. Parallel, at the same time, our daughter decided to also go down a really toxic road of then actually drugs, toxic relationships. She would lie to us. It was just horrendous. So you had all the 7 years in Spain, I would describe this. It was trying to keep our heads above the water, hang on to God, and just really try to stay sane and try and find every solution. So we took them everywhere, from Singapore, from psychologists to psychiatrists, inner healing, deliverance, everything you could imagine, professional, spiritual, and that would be 7 years of our lives. So while I was traveling with our kids, taking them, trying to find an answer, my husband was trying to hold the fort down in Spain, with a team. We had a team of 10 foreign missionaries who worked with us to church plant. So the irony is, while this was ongoing in my personal life, ministry side, by the grace of God, churches were planted, people were saved, but all that time, for me, it was heartbreaking. I think my husband and I went through a lot of stress, what you call the dark nights of the soul. People ask me, did you ever like question God through it, right? Not really in a way, but what I really battled with was self-condemnation. It was asking where we went wrong. And I think sometimes, sadly, it didn't help that many from the Christian community, especially when you're a missionary pastor and your kids are like this, and then you go to a pastor's meeting and they ask you, oh, hi, so what's your child doing? And what do you say? People are saying, oh, my son is the youth pastor, he's the worship leader. And then I'm thinking, oh my, I'm barely keeping my head above the water and my kids are trying to kill themselves, they are going off the rails, they've turned their backs on God.
Well, to be held to that higher standard because you're a missionary or a pastor, right? I think, and then to struggle with that, with the two people that you love the most, right? Your children. I can't even begin to imagine what that is like.
Absolutely. It was very, very painful journey. But I also like to, really tell my story because it's a story of hope. It's a story of really how our God, Jesus, he really is so faithful, and in spite of, I always say in spite of all the mistakes my husband and I made, bad decisions, things we could have done better, of course, and didn't do, things we should have done and we did, and in spite of just everything, bad choices made by my children, who made terrible choices. But, a few things really are true. One is our God is always, always good. And during that time, there were really key promises that God had given me, whether personally through the Bible or then through a prophetic word when someone prayed for us and spoke over our children. And so that word really stood. Just a few key people that believed in my children and loved them in spite of.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. And who stood and prayed with us and believed. And in the midst of this, people, I think the hardest is to keep the hope alive. So I don't know, people who are listening, what your situation is today. Marriages, lost children, prodigals, jobs. I know people who have lost family members to suicide, just tragic accidents. And there are no answers. Sometimes there are just no answers.
That's right.
But you know what? There really is, in the midst of this, there is a God who's so personal, right? Who knows everything. And in the dark night of the soul, he's the anchor. He's the one that will meet us where we're at.
Yes.
And I also got shaped and changed, through that time. Looking back, I wouldn't change anything, but the pain that we went through, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
And I think especially this year with the lockdown and families, marriages breaking up, and tensions rising to boiling point. Sometimes when you're locked down together for too long, in a family situation, a lot of people. A lot of viewers maybe might be going through things that you can you wouldn't want to, like you said, you wouldn't want to wish that pain on anyone else. But June is here as a living testimony, a living example of someone who has gone through 7 years of such darkness and pain and made it through the other side, and is just giving praise, giving thanks to God, and pointing to Him as the reason for her hope. And I really hope that whatever you're going through right now, that you can relate on some level to June. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I would like to just really encourage whatever situation you're in. And so people ask, how did my kids begin to turn around? Okay, so they were both very individual journeys. And many times, when you start to pray and you begin to really, like you really fight for them, things sometimes do get from bad to worse. And it happened to us. Okay, they just seem to go from bad to worse. And you sort of think, wow, when is this ever going to end? And so many times, I think we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But God says, right, darkness and light are actually alike to Him. Okay, He's the God of the darkness as well as the light. And so through those long years, and many times I was totally broken, just in tears and absolutely no hope. Okay, but He stood. And so what happened was, after 7 years in Spain, God said to us, okay, you know what? Your work is done, actually. So you both can have a rest. And I think much to our relief, we actually packed up. We handed all the churches over. And within 6 months, we're out of Spain.
Wow.
So what happened was, God spoke to my husband in a dream, 2 dreams in the same night, exactly to take my son and to bring him back to Finland. He saw my husband, he saw them packing the car up with sound equipment, because my son is a musician and a sound engineer.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what happened. They moved up. While I came back here, because my daughter was still off the rails, and we knew at some point she would need the help that she had from here. And so that's what happened. So for our daughter, there was a supernatural encounter. She really hit rock bottom. And rock bottom came when she found herself in a mental hospital in Kota Kinabalu.
Wow.
Okay, public mental health hospital. She was locked up there for a week. And I think that's when she realized that her life couldn't go on like that. She was only 23, barely 23 years old. So with her, she cried out to God. And then God opened the door. She went to South Africa to a discipleship school, not meant for recovering drug addicts, but we sent her. And you know what? Jesus met her supernaturally. And that began a journey of healing. And for my son, it was just more gradual. It was someone called him from the church in Finland and said, hey, we need a sound man. So why don't you come back?
Perfect.
And so he went, and it was unconditional love and acceptance. And this was in spite of him having tattoos, smoking still, and but the people in the church absolutely loved him back into the kingdom. So,
that's so
it's
encouraging
amazing.
to hear. Yeah.
Totally right. And I just want to release that hope today
Yeah.
to the people listening, viewing. You may view this later, that there is absolutely always a hope in Jesus.
Absolutely, that's so right. And I think it's so important also for every Christian who is listening, for us to, maybe suspend judgment. We're not supposed to judge people. You don't know which part of their journey they are on right now. And, if the people at that church in Finland had done anything differently, we don't know what would have happened, but we are so thankful that they loved him back into the kingdom of God, and just so thankful for that. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you. You're really right. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, June, for sharing that. And it's just so wonderful, a testimony and a reminder, And sometimes, the funny thing about, when we live stream and when we talk, especially this period, sometimes we always say that, we are so blessed and we keep counting our blessings. But, I'm always very scared to share sometimes, because people, I always think people might say, it's easy for you to say because, you have this, you have that. That's why this period is no problem for you. But, I think there's so many people who are struggling as well. And, I'm just so touched and inspired by June sharing,
Yes.
and literally we just met an
Yeah.
hour ago and you're on our show. And, just, I think if I'm just thinking, if I were in your position, and let's say someone might ask, "Oh, how's your kids?" I was like, "Oh, they are good." Okay, by the way, what's the next topic? And for you to be so, brave and bold in sharing, and I think it's just gonna be, just inspiring for people who
Yeah.
are watching. And I had this song that popped up in my
Yeah.
head that I'll love to dedicate to both Chris and June.
Yeah.
And it's a song that just now you mentioned, In Christ Alone.
Oh, great.
That we
Yes.
did just now. And yeah, I just feel like it would be a appropriate way to end tonight's show and the
Yes.
last Beacon Live session. And it's just, yeah, and we always feel rejuvenated,
Always.
and just with all the sharing and the love through music. It's just been an amazing. And once again, it just reminds me that all the guests that we're inviting here is not just because they're the most perfect
Oh, definitely not. Yeah.
Christians or have the best perfect stories to tell, but I'm just so amazed of everyone's sharing and willingness to share
Yeah.
about how, in spite of circumstances, in spite of, all the difficult challenges that we have. And, for any one of you who are, just having your own struggles, internally, or, with family, with work situations, with
Yeah.
even within the church, or even within your cell group.
Yeah.
I think everyone has their own struggles, and it's a
That's right.
journey. And as much as we rely on God, as at a human level, we need to all,
Rely on one
just,
another.
and
Yeah.
stop judging, stop, doing all these things that don't help in that
Exactly.
sense. So
We are blessed. We would like to play you this song called In Christ Alone. And in good times or in bad times, Christ, Jesus is there for us every step of the way. And we would like to dedicate the song to Chris and June, as well as to everybody who is watching right now. In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. This cornerstone, this solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are stilled, when striving cease. My comforter, my all in all, here in the love of Christ I stand. There in the ground his body lay, light of the world by darkness slain, then bursting forth in glorious day, up from the grave he rose again. And as he stands in victory, sin's curse has lost its grip on me, for I am his and he is mine, bought with the precious blood of Christ. No guilt in life, no fear in death, from life's first cry to final breath. Jesus commands my destiny. No power of hell, no scheme of man can ever pluck me from his hand till he returns or calls me home. Here in the power of Christ I'll stand. Till he returns or calls me home. Here in the power of Christ I'll stand. Here in the power of Christ I'll stand. Here in the power of Christ we stand. In Christ alone, our hope is found. And I think that really is a good way to sum up, the last episode of Beacon Live Sessions in 2020. And we hope that you have been blessed by, not just this episode, but by any of the previous episodes that we've put up. And we are so thankful once again to Chris and Eden Resources for making this happen, this whole entire live stream series. And there's a lot more to look forward to in the next season of Beacon Live Sessions, which will be hosted by myself, Miss Lou.
And myself, Daniel Chuah, and we want to thank Shane also for working tirelessly
Exactly,
to
yes.
make all these streams happen. It's a very lean team,
Yeah.
very lean setup here, but we're so thankful for you guys who have stayed on, almost 2 hours, and we have comments, last few comments from
Yes.
Uncle David
Yes.
and JG, nice to see you here.
Thank you.
And Rico and Edgar, thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
And
much.
if you guys have found this episode inspiring or beneficial for you, please share it with your friends. It's still going to
Yes.
be on YouTube,
That's
and you
right.
can watch any of the past 9 episodes as well. Yeah, and Wendy says our hope is built in Christ alone. Yes, definitely.
Exactly.
And and I hope to see you guys at our next episode, which we'll announce really, really soon in 2020. And hope you guys will,
2021.
2021. Yeah, and hope you guys will have a great new year coming up.
Yeah, blessed New Year. Bye-bye. Thank you so
See you
much.
guys.